Hi there, this is Lullaby Song ASMR, and I'd like to help you relax today. To do that, I have a few triggers, and I'll be speaking a little bit in between triggers in a soft tone to help you fall asleep and feel comfortable. Now, I hope right now that you're laying down or sitting, your eyes are closed, you have some earbuds in, some headphones in, or maybe you're playing this out of your speaker, who knows. And I hope that if you are going to sleep or trying to go to sleep, you've got your water next to you. If you wake up and you feel thirsty, I hope you've brushed your teeth and flossed and maybe even used mouthwash. And I hope that if you wear pajamas, you're in your pajamas. And if you're cold, you are as cold, you have some blankets. Nice, warm, fluffy blankets. So, to start things off, I have a little hen, and it's a little bright, but I will be tapping on her to make some noises. So, this particular hen she serves as a salt shaker. And I saw her and her sibling, her brother, at a sale, a estate sale. And this was held by one of the house's owners, and one of his brothers, had passed. And his brother really enjoyed collecting odd little knickknacks, right? Little tidbits, little trinkets. So this little hen and her brother, her sibling, were in a box along with several other salt and pepper shakers. And it just so happened that I was in need of a set of shakers. And so I snatched this little hen and her sibling. And now here they are now, making some tapping noises. I used them today to season some eggs, and I made some dulce de leche, which is the best way to describe dulce de leche for those unaware, for folks unaware, is that it's sugar and milk, and how traditionally it's simmered over low heat for a very, very long time, several hours, being very careful not to burn the milk until it's this luscious, thick, creamy, caramely almost goodness. It's very tasty. I think I'd say it's a richer version of caramel, and it's delicious on its own. And if you add some salt to it, as I did, I'd say it's even better than salted caramel on ice cream. So, an easy trick if you'd rather not buy it at home, or rather not make it at home, is you can buy a store-bought. But if you do want to make it at home, instead of simmering the milk and the sugar over low heat and babying it for so long, what you can do is you can get a can of sweetened condensed milk, and you can get a baking pan and empty out the entire can or baking tray and empty out the entire contents of the can into the tray. And then you add a little bit of salt in there. You mix it all up with some stirring apparatus, and you wrap it in aluminum foil. Then, to prevent the milk from scalding or getting too hot, what you do is you put it in another pan, maybe a roasting sheet or a roasting pan, and you fill it halfway up with water. Then you set that in an oven that's been preheated to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, and you let that roast. You let that cook for an hour to an hour and a quarter hours. 1.25 hours. There you go. Making sure to check on it in intervals to refill the water if it's all gone. Which it will, if you're cooking something at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. And you'll know it's ready when you look at it and it's got a little thicker, it's more brown. And when you stir it, you see some almost lumps in it, right? It's thickening up. But after that, I think it all comes down to a matter of taste, right? If you want it to be more caramelized. And it starts off very sweet. For those of you who've had or tried sweetened condensed milk, it's a very sweet material. Very sweet substance, liquid. But dulce de leche is a much richer, not as sickeningly sweet as how it started off as, because the sugar has been caramelized. So I highly recommend it. And after you let it cool, make sure you give it a stir and add some salt to enhance the flavor. And it will become quite thick, right? Almost very thick caramel. So with it, you can eat it straight, as I might have done. You can drizzle it over vanilla ice cream. That's delicious. You could store it in the fridge for about 3 days. Oh, right. So if you do want to use it to drizzle over ice cream, or you want it a little less viscous, right? A little more thin. All you have to do is warm it up. Another thing that you can do, and I might have done this as well earlier this week, is you can make some brownies with them. Dulce de leche brownies. Those are really tasty. I think I'll link to the recipe I made in my description. It's a David Lebowitz recipe. He is a dessert blogger located in France. And he's quite marvelous when it comes to desserts. Highly recommend him and his recipes. So that is the hen. next, see how long I can tap on my nails. So I recently have been doing a lot of reading, especially in quarantine times, and I can't go outside and speak with friends or family in person. Try to make up with it as best as I can through video calls, right? Phone calls. I personally have been enjoying taking or calling folks while on calls, while I'm walking. So that way I'm getting some, I'm going outside, I'm getting some sun, right? You gotta boost the vitamin D levels somehow. And I'm also getting some light exercise, I think it's important that one doesn't waste away in the middle of a quarantine. There's a really good video by CGP Grey. He's a really big YouTube content creator, and he made a video about space. It's titled Spaceship U, and I'll link that in the video's description as well. And while watching it, he describes how to compartmentalize your life, right? Because one of the issues of shelter in place, or having to be confined to just your house, is that it's hard for your brain to switch from sleep mode to exercise mode to play mode. And because it doesn't have these new experiences, it's hard to fully concentrate on one thing. And time seems to just slip by, So, I highly recommend his video. I've been using some of his teachings in my own personal life, So yes, I've been doing quite a lot of reading. And one of the books that I read recently that was very impactful, well, I've read quite a few books that are impactful, but one of them that I want to talk about with you is Man's Search for Meaning by Dr. Viktor E. Frankl. So, this book is half autobiography and half a little bit of theory, a little bit of psychological theory. You can almost think of it as a bibliotherapy in some kinds of ways. I wonder what the difference is between an autobiography and a memoir. But Dr. Frankl is an Auschwitz survivor. Was it Auschwitz? He was in Nazi concentration camps for quite some time, several years. And he suffered greatly. So, his book is about his experiences in the concentration camp and how he sought to find meaning through his suffering, and how that mentally made him more resilient, and for him to rise above his circumstances. I highly recommend this book because it's a pretty short read, honestly, compared to some of the tomes out there that number hundreds of pages. And it's translated from its original language, and the translation is not bad. It's also quite old. It was written in the Ooh, when was it written? Let's see. So, looking through, we have so it was published in 1946. So it's quite an old book, and it stood the test of time, I'd like to say. I highly recommend the book for if you think you're feeling maybe like a little lost, or you feel like you're having a bad time. And I know that it is very hard when you're feeling anxious or depressed to will yourself to put some time towards some reading. But I highly recommend this book to all folks out there. Next, we're going to do some mouth sounds. So, I'll no longer be speaking to you in dulcet tones, but I'll be making some mouth sounds instead. That was a little harder than I expected. What else? Oh. I believe I was just speaking about floss. I happen to have some floss by my desk so that it's easy and within reach. And I won't forget as easily. And it becomes easier to make it a habit. I feel that habits ought to be self-serving, right? Or to help you. And I feel like flossing is a great way of taking care of yourself. It's a good habit. Same with wearing sunscreen. Growing up, I never wore sunscreen. And then I recently saw a picture of someone. I think they were a truck driver. And truck drivers, right? One side is always facing the window, and the other isn't. And it's quite astonishing seeing I think it's called photo damage, or photo damaged skin that he had on one side of his body, especially when you're comparing it to skin that hasn't been as damaged. So that made me realize how important it was to take care of your skin and to drink water. So I try to wear sunscreen every day and drink water. The drinking water part is a little harder for me. I feel like I can do a much better job of doing that with a sunscreen, you know. Like, your skin is all you have. It's your largest organ. I think it's really important you do take care of it. You're the only person You're the only you. So I think it's important, right? Like, we can make the meaning bigger. Your skin is the only skin you'll ever have, and you're the only you you'll ever have. And I think you're important. And you decide how your life will go. You know, it might be hard to realize that, you know? Like, some days I have times when it's hard for me to realize that I make my own meaning, right? And it's hard for me to realize that to rise over what kind of suffering I might be having. I don't know what you're going through, but it must be really hard. It's always very hard. Your pain is really valid. And I think that it's important for you to recognize that, because it's passed over so often in our world. I feel that in our society, folks pass over recognizing true suffering, or I shouldn't say true suffering, because that implies that there's suffering that's fake, right? I feel like our society prizes happiness, celebrates happy moments. But I think it's important to realize the suffering as well, because that's what makes us human. So, as I was saying, you are the only you. You're the only you there ever will be. And because of that, you're important. And I want you to take good care of yourself. I want you to be at peace. And I hope that it begins with a nice relaxed end to this video. And I hope that for those of you who wanted to sleep, this inches you a little closer there, or perhaps you're already there. I look forward to spending more time with you. And I enjoyed our conversation today. Turned a little more existential than I expected it to, but that's okay. Sometimes our conversations lead us here, when it's later at night. We're having a chat, as we are. Alright, I think that's all for now. Take care, and have a